Good evening. I just realized I didn't title my stream properly. I think I can change the title, can I? Let's see. Discord bot testing. There we go. Alright, we've alerted the Discord. Hello, honey. You couldn't just come out here and tell me that? You had to troll me from my chat. I've not had a lot of trolls in my chat lately, but hello, Dogman. What's up? Pin message. What did that guy just say in my chat? What's his name? Kyle? Say release the baby so I'll sub and like. That is so weird and random. What the hell is your profile picture? Team Cool? You're part of Team Cool, huh, Kyle? Nice. Same here, Dogman. Yeah. My stream schedule is gonna probably have to change a little bit because my kids are out of school now during the day, so streaming from my living room probably is gonna have to become less of a thing during the workday. So we'll see. Nice, Kyle. Yeah. What's up, man? Glad you're here. You sent some random messages in the chat, but thanks for stopping by, you know? Always appreciate a hello. Oh, that's a weird song. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. There you go. That's better. I did. I mean, I read your thing. I said, say release the baby. I mean, I read your message. Rohith. Hello, Rohith. Why Neovim? I guess just for fun, really, Rohith. I've spent the last 4.5 years primarily working out of either Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, or Writer. Those are kind of like the three editors I've used the most. And at the beginning of the year, I found a playlist of videos by a guy named Typecraft. He's on YouTube. You can look him up, Typecraft. He has a series of videos called Neovim for Noobs. And I had spent the last year or 2 years watching the Primogen stream and edit in Neovim, and I thought, man, that looks like a lot of fun. But I had never taken the plunge. But then I watched this series of videos, and I really saw a path to try to configure Neovim to be a real alternative to VS Code. And so in January, I did it. Like I configured Neovim, set it all up, and I've been using it for the last 3 or 4 months, and it's been fun. I think the biggest value add thing that this like side quest has given me is I'll probably forever use Vim motions as part of my workflow. Whether it's in Neovim, I don't know, but whatever editor I'm using a year from now, 10 years from now, um, I'll probably stick with Vim motions. So, Rohit, that's a very long answer to your question, but basically just because it looked like fun and it's turned out to be fun. Hello, Pablo. Yeah, late night stream. I was actually saying that before you got here. Today was my kid's last day of school, so I kind of my normal stream time of like 2 o'clock in the afternoon might not be feasible during the summer. So we're gonna kind of experiment with what streaming in the evenings. Pablo, Prime is not my cup of tea. I enjoyed some of his videos, but the character is a bit too much. Yeah, I mean, he definitely has high energy. Like for sure has high energy. So I totally get that. Like I like the Primogen, but I don't like Theo. Do you guys know who Theo is? Theo dot I think his channel is theo.gg. He seems like a nice enough guy, but like I don't know, he always comes across a little douchey to me. Myself. So yeah, I totally get that. Some content creators are just, they're not for everybody. I'm sure I'm not for everybody either. Dogman, say it's called coding. It rhymes with grug, and I'll stay for a bit. Well, there you go. See, I just said it. Pablo, summer vacations already? Yep. So they go to school. Well, they get out today, and then they don't go back to like the middle of August, second week or third week of August. So yeah, summertime for them. That is one thing I miss about school is being able to look forward to summer break. As an adult, you don't get that. How do you select things if somebody hears like a Neovim? Pablo, I enjoy Theo's content, but I often disagree with his opinion. Pablo, I'm subscribed to Theo, but not Prime. Yeah, I don't think I'm subscribed to Theo. I am subscribed to Prime. I guess the thing I always feel from whenever I'm watching Theo's content, I always feel like he's talking down to me. Like I feel like he thinks I'm stupid, and he's trying to make me less stupid. That's I don't know, and that's probably more of a me problem than a him problem, but that's the reaction I have whenever I engage with his content. All right, let's see if this test runs. See you, dog man. Have a good night, man. Well, I guess you said BRB, so if you come back, great. But if you don't, no worries. Hope you have a good night. AY47, add hello world in the code. That would be kind of a funny, it's like if every job you had, you tried to sneak hello world into the code base, right? Whether it's like in a comment or a method name or a class name or something. It's like that becomes like your thing. Pablo, he does direct his content towards a less experienced audience. So yeah, I can 100% agree to that. But I like the news and analysis he does. Yeah, he always has the latest stuff, doesn't he? That's for sure. I need to put a breakpoint in here because I don't understand why it's... Well, it should hit this. But I'm not sure why it's not. Oh, I was gonna say, if anybody here is a Python, or not a Python, a Vim user, how is it that I select things between like parentheses, right? Like, so if I wanted to select everything between these two parentheses and say I just want to select it, or yeah, I want to select it so that like I could delete it or type over it, how would I do that? Like, what's the right Vim foo? Pablo, test data, hello world. Easy. Yeah, you can sneak it in there. Cruise games. Is this Python? No, this is C#. It's you can always tell you can always tell if it's Python if there's curly braces or semicolons present. You know it's not Python. You can also look down here at the bottom of the Lua line status bar down there. It'll tell you whatever language I'm writing it in. AY47. I'm making ROMs for Huawei phones, and I'm adding text of "Hello World" when phone opens. What's ROMs? What's ROMs? I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, Pablo, you always get the inside scoop, huh? Mao Lester hot sauce. Random, but I mean I like hot sauce. Hello, Lucy. Jess Kernel. Is this JavaScript? Ew. Fuck you, Jess Kernel. JavaScript's great, man. What are you talking about? JavaScript's just fun. And yes, it is C#. Pablo, Vib for parentheses, VIB for brackets, VI for single quotes. Okay, let me try that. VIB. Ooh, yes. Pablo, you... I swear, you guys always come in clutch. VIB. Oh, I love that. VIB. And then you said what? Between brackets is what? VI capital B? VI capital B? Yep. So then if I do it up here and I do VI capital B, that's everything. I'm going to have to remember that. Jess kernel, what editor is this? This is Neovim. Jess, this is Neovim. And yes, that's what Pablo just what Nightbot just shared there is my Neovim configurations, if you're curious. Pablo's so cool. Yeah, you got it down, man. You helped me. Pablo, ROMs are flavors of Android you can run as your OS. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's new to me. I've never heard of that before. Alright, so that worked. Alright, now if we do get a proper event, we should create the message. In Copilot, I'm trying to practice. I'm basically trying to code for the next week or so without Copilot enabled because, well, I have something coming up, and I really don't want my Copilot pause to be on full display. V is for selecting, I for insert, and B for going back. How does it select parent? I have no idea, Jess kernel. Like, I don't know. Those must just be the default key maps, and Pablo is very knowledgeable, so he knows them. Is Neovim key binding different than usual Vim? I'm not a big Vim user, so I couldn't tell you if it's different. I'm guessing they're very similar, but I couldn't actually tell you. Let's see, this should be message Discord message types. Oh, I think I screwed this up. This should be not message create. This should be like that. And then this should be data equals new, type equals message, there we go. Should be like that. And then should also put an ID here. We'll do gwid.new new GUID string channel ID. Not that any of this matters, but for the unit test, but there we go. And this should be called once. Let's see, object reference not set to an instance of an object. Oh no. What have we done? Excuse me. Oh. We should have author equals new ID. Not guild. GUID. Did you guys see all the did you guys watch any of the Microsoft build week, or did you guys see that did y'all see that Anthropic released Claude 4? Anybody a passionate Claude user? This was a pretty big deal today. My first you want to see my first prompt to Claude 4? This was the first thing I asked it. I basically said, tell me why you're better than Claude 3. Be ruthlessly critical and concise. I just wanted it to dunk on its predecessor a little bit, but I couldn't get it to do it. But yeah, Claude 4 is out, and apparently the price, I guess, is like the same as Claude 3, I think. See if the price is in here, which is pretty crazy. Price, is that in here? Yeah, I guess it's pretty similar. There's a lot of good stuff at Microsoft Build this week too. Yeah, and then Google, OpenAI, yeah, there was so much going on this week. It was kind of hard to keep up, wasn't it? How does anybody keep up anymore with the news or the tech? It seems like every day there's something new. All right, let's see. I've got some sort of issue. Oh my gosh. That's tiny. Yeah, WSL going open source. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Where's this throwing? Line 36. What happens on line 36? Oh. We need to... We need to say... we need to say mock... Yeah, mock this. We need to set up. What do we want want to set up? We want to set up client, create message async. We don't care what that's called with. Let's see, returns async new Discord message. Make that static. All right, this should not throw now. There we go. Boom. Okay, cool. Love it. All right, so literally the only thing I have left, let's see, .NET test. The only thing I have left to write tests for is the actual gateway client, which is like it's the largest bit of code I've written so far. Like you can see right now, I have 100% test coverage on basically everything. On basically everything except the gateway client, but I only have 50% coverage total because the bulk of the lines of code I've written are in the gateway client. And there is a lot here to test. There's just, yeah, there's a lot of code here to test. Oh my goodness. It's kind of overwhelming to look at. It was overwhelming to write, and now it's overwhelming to write tests for. But we're going to do it. The other thing I also need to do before I deploy this is I need to add some observability. I think for observability, I'm going to use Seek. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Seek, but I'm going to use Seek for logging and traces, and I'm going to use OpenTelemetry. Seek, I don't know if you guys are. Seek's pretty big in the .NET space. I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but I'm going to use Seek for logging. And Seek supports OpenTelemetry, so I'm just going to use OpenTelemetry and send those logs and traces over to Seek. Although the one thing about Seek, if you are in the .NET space, Seek currently doesn't support OpenTelemetry metrics, but they do support OpenTelemetry logs and traces. So if you're looking for a nice logging solution, centralized logging solution, Seek's pretty good. We use Seek where I work. It's pretty baller. Pop a little overkill. For now, yeah. But I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to see stuff happening in your application. You know, like I want to know, like when I deploy my Discord bot, I want to know if it like dies, and I kind of want to understand why it dies so I can make it not die, you know? And if it's running in a Docker container and the logs are only going to the console, right? And the container dies, or the bot dies in the container, right? Like I want to be able to have some sort of observability. But yeah, I can totally see little overkill. Pablo, I live in the front end, bliss ignorance. Yeah, you could do OpenTelemetry logging from the front end though. They have SDKs. OpenTelemetry has SDKs for almost. I mean, they have just a JavaScript SDK, and so it'll work with whatever framework you're working with. I tell you what, once you get used, Like once you get used to having an observability solution, you kind of never want to not have one. Yeah, okay, Sentry. Yeah, so Sentry's great. Yeah, Sentry's wonderful. Yeah, I mean that's fair, right? It's like I totally see you haven't caught any errors, but man, when you do find yourself in a pickle, you know, it's really nice to be able to look at data and not just fly blind. I mean, the other cool thing, I'm not sure about Sentry. I haven't used Sentry enough to really um, be familiar with it, but like in Seek, you know, you can do all kinds of like queries and aggregations, and so you can, you know, you don't have to necessarily just report on errors, right? You can report on other metrics depending on what you're logging or what you're sending, right? Which is pretty nice, right? So you can build actual like, you know, you can set alerts, right? So like you can have queries on like request times, and if you have like a trending, you know, say your requests per second or whatever skyrockets all of a sudden, you can have like alerts that alert you to some to abnormalities, which is pretty cool. Because like in my past life, when I worked in a production plant, when I was a food scientist, like we had all kinds of like, well, I should say, at the beginning of my career we didn't, but at the last year or 2 years of my career, the new manufacturing plant I was in, we had all this kind of instrumentation of our production lines, and so we knew, right, like whenever there was an issue on the line, we could actually like we could almost intervene before there was an actual problem, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, errors. I mean, geez, just get better. Like observability, like, just be better, bro. Pablo, I have good instincts for catching bugs. Luckily, I once caught a backend bug without prior knowledge on the code. Critical bug, no logs helped. Someone from an org logged in, ooh, into a different org. Yeesh. That's no bueno. That's no bueno at all. That's one of those bugs that you just it just doesn't look good. It actually, I guess the worst kind of thing about that type of a bug is it erodes trust, like from a client or customer perspective, right? It doesn't make you feel good. But that's awesome that you caught it or figured it out at least. Sometimes it's super nice to have a different, you know, a different set of eyes, right? Like you said, you're not really familiar, you're not in the back end a lot, so maybe that's what helped you identify it, because you kind of were looking at things with a new perspective. You catch my drift. Our infra is very cool and overkill as well, but our front end bug count is low overall. So Pablo, I'm curious, do you guys have QA where you work, or like do you have automated testing? Like, what's your guys's? Why are you bringing that out here? Oh, okay. Yeah, you really should pick up after yourself. We learned because they told us the user of the bug was race condition and go. Oh wow. Yeah, race conditions are the worst, right? They are the absolute worst. I'm procrastinating from writing the next set of tests, aren't I? Excuse me. Pablo, we have tests for backend, none for front end. We deploy to prod, and we do a quick pass on every ticket to QA a bit. Ah, nice. Okay, so no really dedicated QA team. It's all done by the engineering team. Do you use Codium? I don't. What is that? Codium? Not familiar. How'd you spell that? Eum? Yeah, I'm not. What is Codium? Oh, they are the makers of Windsurf. Is that right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Codium. Oh, Windsurf, formerly Codium. Okay, Windsurf. Yeah, I'm not. I haven't used Windsurf. I'm familiar with Windsurf, but I haven't used it. Danilo, have you tried the latest Chinese AI Manus? No, I think I signed up for their. I think I signed up for their release. Oh, you can sign up. Oh, okay, cool. I remember when I went to try it, there was just like a sign up page, but apparently now I should actually give it a try. I'm gonna add that to the list. Let's see. Invim. I have a running list of things I need to try. I'll just put it right here. Try using Manus AI. I'm not a big. I mean, I should be totally upfront with you guys. I'm not a big AI agentic coder, vibe coder. I don't know what you want to call it. The experience I've had doing it has made me hate coding. So I think if you forced me to write code all day through prompting an LLM and an editor, I would probably move on with my life to something else. To be honest. Yeah, the GitHub Copilot's the only thing that I really use on a regular basis. I use GitHub Copilot tab completion, and I've used GitHub Copilot agent mode in VS Code, and that's been pretty cool. I used it hasn't been very helpful for doing code related stuff, but it's been super helpful for doing like documentation, like adding JS doc or XML comments to code and writing readmes. It's been super helpful for that. Nothing but knives. Are you a male to female or a female to male? I'm confused. I am just a male. Nothing but knives. But thank you for leaving such an insightful, engaging chat message. Pablo. Oh, I guess the other Codium is now called Quodo, the PR review agent. Oh, interesting. Quodo. Quality first AI coding platform. Yeah. I actually had I also tried to use GitHub Copilot agent mode. Not agent mode. Well, yeah, I guess you can call it agent mode. Let me see if I can find the PR real quick. I tried to have it implement an issue for me, or handle an issue for me, and it just completely got stuck in a loop. Let me see if I can find the PR real quick, because it's kind of the Git commits on it are kind of funny. Yeah, so this was so basically all I needed to do in this change was basically for every method in a particular class, I needed to add a cancellation token to the methods. That's basically all I need to do. Add a cancellation token and then forward that token on to any asynchronous methods that accept a cancellation token. And GitHub Copilot just got stuck in this loop where it kept trying to add the token, and then it would add the token to methods that couldn't accept a token, and then it would try to take the token away, and then it would add it back, and it just sat there in this cycle. So, I mean, I think they're cool. I think these agentic tools are very cool. It's just I don't necessarily think they're the end all be all that some people make them out to be. Caleb, is this Streamer University? It is not Streamer University. Pablo, by the way, the thing I'm most excited about from MS this week is the PostgreSQL tools for VS Code. Oh, I did not hear about that. Let's take a look. PostgreSQL VS Code MS build. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. I mean, this image alone is cool. Announcing a new IDE for PostgreSQL in VS Code from Microsoft. Schema visualizations. That's really baller right there. Oh, you can do PGSQL in the old Copilot chat window. That's pretty sweet. Get a database explorer. That's awesome. Is it available already? Oh, it's already available, huh? I think I have Postgres running. Oh, I guess I have Postgres running in a Docker container, but I shut Docker off while I stream for resource purposes. But I'm gonna go and add this to my Visual Studio Code right now, because that is pretty slick. Fly Fisher, that means funding will be pretty much limitless. It's about to become extremely capable. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think the tools are just going to definitely keep getting better and better and better, for sure. But I don't necessarily believe all the hype. Like, you see these videos of people who are like, I built Salesforce in a day using this prompt. I replaced all my SaaS products with my own versions, all through vibe coding. And I'm just like, dude, somebody get this guy. There's no way, you know? Just want to roll my eyes. Is it actually out yet? PostgreSQL. Oh, there it is. Install. Nice. Oh, it's in preview. But who cares? I mean, might as well. It's lovely. Danilo, many chats look alike. What are you talking about, Danilo? You mean my streams look alike? Like I do the same thing on stream? Because that is a very true statement. OpenAI is diluting the value of their nonprofits. I wouldn't be hyped about their acquisitions. Yeah, it'll be interesting because they are burning cash, right? I mean, they are lighting cash on fire, and they're acquiring. Um, I mean, I think it'll be really interesting. I mean, they do have the backing of Microsoft, right? Although that relationship seems to be more and more strenuous as time goes on. But it would be very interesting if we were to hit some economic turbulence in the U.S. If we were to have some sort of event like 2008, or if we were to have a recession, it would be very interesting to see which AI companies would be able to make it out alive, because all of them are extremely leveraged and none of them are profitable. And it seems like the inevitable players to emerge would be Microsoft and Google, if something like that was to happen. I don't know. They all seem to be doing very cool and awesome things, but none of them are profitable. I mean, they're just not making money. Anyone that uses AI knows you can't rely on it 100%. The benefits are mostly strictly production based, being able to get a lot more, productivity based. Yeah, a lot more work done faster. Yeah, agreed. It's a productivity gain, right? It's a co-pilot for sure. Danilo, that reminds me, Pascal language code, that Microsoft tool. I've never written Pascal. Was Pascal developed by Microsoft? Oh, I guess it was. Oh no, there was a Microsoft implementation of Pascal. But yeah, I don't know. I've never written in or read much Pascal, so I don't know if C# looks like Pascal, but this is C#, what I have on my screen at the moment. I'm trying to think of the best way to approach writing the test for this gateway client at the moment, and I'm having a hard time coming up with a good approach. Turt eat pancake. Nice username, dude. Dear friend, pray tell, what manner of convulsion hath befallen us? By the stars, I am confounded beyond measure. I have no idea what you're talking about, man. It's random people in chat sometimes. Windsurf has a very small user base compared to VS Code and Cursor. Yeah, I mean, I would say anybody has a small user base compared to VS Code. I mean, if anybody was positioned to run away with the editor, like the editor war, the AI-powered editor war, it's VS Code, right? I mean, they have the largest user base. They have Microsoft behind them. I think they probably have one of the better teams building it, and all the other editors are based off VS Code. They're a fork of VS Code, right? So it's like, if anyone's in a good position to like win that, it's VS Code. It's Microsoft. Pablo. Yes, I did know that. I did know that Anders was involved in Pascal. I like me some Anders Halsberg. It was actually really cool to see him on Syntax. Did you guys see that episode of syntax with Anders Heilsberg. Yeah, this one. They did an interview with him, which I thought was really, really cool to see somebody like of that stature come on. I mean, not that syntax is not an important podcast or what have you, but you're talking like at one of the leading, one of the leading experts in programming languages coming on a kind of what is more of like a web development podcast. Was kind of cool. You should go listen to that podcast if you haven't. Here's the link. You should go check it out. You should also subscribe to Syntax if you're not already. Danilo, to make money aside, you need some analytics help. Are you talking to me, Danilo? I know who you're talking to. Yeah, Anders is great. Syntax is great. I agree, Pablo. Both are wonderful. Alright, I guess I should try to write a test here. So, what do I care about? I care that when I click, or when I connect, I care that I actually call connect on my WebSocket. What else? When I connect, I guess the next thing I should probably test is I should probably test that it starts sending heartbeats. But I'm kind of wondering if I can just assert all of this in a single... Okay, so this is how I'm going to mock what messages are going to be received. Yeah, okay. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do public async task connect async when called. Or I'm actually going to say when connected and hello event is received, it should start sending heartbeats and identify. And for the moment, we have not implemented this, so we can just throw an exception at the moment. Danilo, yep. Coding apps sales can only be profitable with analytics marketing. I think Danilo, you're bringing some assumptions to the chat that like I'm trying to build stuff to make money, or that I'm like streaming to make money, and that's neither of those things are true. So this thing I'm building is purely for myself and for my own enjoyment. It has nothing to do with making a profitable product. But appreciate your insights there, Danilo. Pablo, I wish Anders streamed. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to see him code and work on projects. I also wish there's a couple guys that work for Microsoft. One of them is named David Fowler. I'd love to watch him stream. Like, I would love to watch him code and stream. There's also a guy named Steven Taub from Microsoft. There's actually some there's some videos on YouTube called Deep.net with Stephen Tao. Basically, it's Stephen Tao, but he's also with Scott Hanselman, and they talk through like really deep .NET programming topics, and they write code and actually implement things, and that's pretty good. But I'd love to watch those guys stream. Yeah, that it would just be interesting to see like an engineer at that level, like how they approach problems, how they think through things, um, just the way they work, right? That would be very interesting. Creatives, how many hours do you code or stare at your computer? I usually just, um, yeah, stream wise, probably an hour at a time. But like in a day, I probably spend anywhere between like an hour to 4 hours writing code. Just depends on what's going on. Depends on how much code I write at work versus how much code I write in my free time. But I'd say for the last 4.5 years, I've probably averaged like an hour to 4 hours a day. Indie Motor Fun. This a Discord bot you're coding right now? Yes. Right now I'm writing tests for the Discord bot. The Discord bot has been coded, and it does what I want it to do. And now I'm writing tests because you should write tests, in my opinion. Tests and more for even more than anything, it's more about like psychological safety for me. Like when I have a suite of tests, it makes me feel much more emboldened to work on a project and change it and add things to it if I have a suite of tests that give me confidence that I haven't severely disrupted things. So that's what I'm doing. John Doe, could you hack the government? I could not hack the government. This is like watching a spy movie. I don't know what kind of spy movies you're watching, John Doe, but yeah, I don't know. That's not the kind of spy movies I watch. Creatives, why are you writing in PowerShell? Use VS Code or VS? So I'm writing in Neovim. Like Neovim is a terminal-based editor, so I'm using Neovim. My shell of choice is PowerShell, so that's why I'm in PowerShell. I do use Visual Studio, and I use Visual Studio Code, but in January, like I just decided I wanted to give Neovim a go and to see if I could configure Neovim in such a way that I could be productive and kind of mimic my workflow that I would typically do in Visual Studio Code. So that's why. Ooh, cool. What programs did you use? I'm looking for other dev programs other than Bot Designer. I implemented it all myself. So there's no Discord JS. There's no existing client libraries. This is all I implemented it all by myself. I mean, obviously I used the documentation, Discord API docs. Like I used their documentation, but like I went through and read their docs and how to manage their, no libraries handcrafted. Yeah, exactly. So that either means it's bad or it's really bad. And when I say no libraries, I shouldn't say no libraries because like obviously I'm using code that I am using libraries, right? But what I more of mean is like I'm not using any existing Discord API client implementations, I guess is what I mean. And we shall see how that goes once I get this thing deployed and actually try to start putting it through its paces. Definitely really, really bad. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna learn a lot, I think. Yeah, I think if you're interested, if you're interested in building a Discord bot, I would think Discord.js is the way to go. Like, I haven't used it, but just looking at their docs, like, this is all you need to get a client up and running, to get a bot up and running. Like, you could have something working in, a day. You could have something deployed, Dockerized, and deployed in like a day. So yeah, so if you're looking for if you're trying to build something quick, and learning and experimentation is not your aim, as in my case, I think Discord.js is the way to go. There is, if you're a C# dev, there are Discord, let's see, Discord, I think it's called Discord.net, C# libraries. I think there's two, actually. There's this one. Yeah, there's this one, and then there's another one. But like, if you go to this website, this is probably a skill issue, but like, there is so much going on here. Like, in terms of like using this library. Yeah, that for me, as I was looking through here, I was like, okay, so how do I get a bot running? And this was not very helpful. Like, they say it's your first bot, but I don't understand. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just thought this was more complicated than what I needed, so I just decided to do it myself. Indie Motor Fun. I made a few bots already using Bot Designer. My biggest problem was keeping up with the free hosting. Bot Designer. I've not heard of that. I'm new to the Discord bot space, so I'm a newbie at this. But let's see, Bot Designer. Bot Designer for Discord. Interesting. I kind of just want to, I don't really want to sign up for an account. I kind of just want to see what it's about. Create your own awesome Discord without programming knowledge. Oh, and they have managed hosting. That's very cool. And you can do it from your phone? That's crazy. That's wild. What's BD script? I guess that's their own scripting language they use. That's wild. Oh my goodness. No way. I'm not going to write BD script. This is crazy. What? Yeah, this is pretty impressive, that someone built this. But I don't know if I would use it. But that's super impressive. Thinks it's too complicated, writes their own communication, has to write it that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess Pablo, that is a very fair statement. Yeah. Danilo, you real chef in the kitchen. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I pretend to be knowledgeable. Pablo, where will you host your bot? So I will take my worker app that I built, and I will stick it in a Docker container, and I will run it on my VPS. That's what I'll do with it to start with. I mean, it's gonna be a private bot that lives in like one Discord server. So, you know, it needs to be kind of a very minimalistic deployment story and hosting story. Little Quan. That word is excessively long and complicated to both spell and pronounce. That's my opinion. Also, hello, Little Quan. All right, let's yank that. Stick all that here. Whoops. So we need the same setup. The only difference is we need to receive some events. So we are gonna say var messages to receive, and that's going to be a new queue. And I actually, instead of using I think what I'm gonna do is I am gonna do that. Messages to receive is a new queue, and that queue is gonna be of type web socket result, receive results, and a bytes. Oh. There we go. And now I need to start adding things to the queue. Right? So queue is first in, first out. Var hello event equals new hello Discord event. It's like that. And then messages to receive. We're going to enqueue our hello event. Oh no, we don't. We can't just enqueue it. We need to create our event payload. Our payload equals create event payload. We'll pass in our event. And then we'll enqueue our payload buffer. And then we also need a result. Which is going to be its own thing. So we need var results equals new WebSocket C result. Okay, Then our receive result needs to have three things. It needs to have the length, basically the length of the message. So that's where we do hello, where we do payload dot buffer dot length. Do I need to await this? Oh, bytes, not buffer, bytes. Payload dot bytes. It would help if I remembered the code I had written. And this is going to be WebSocket message type, and this is going to be text, and this is going to be the end of the message. Like that. And then this is actually a tuple that I'm trying to enqueue here. There we go. Then we need to actually set up the sequence. So we'll say setup receive sequence. We'll pass in our mock WebSocket, and then we'll pass in our messages to receive. Like that. I know that made complete sense. See you later, Danilo. Pablo, what's your VPS provider? So I have a VPS that I host here in the house, and then I have a VPS that I host in Oracle's cloud. So Oracle has like a really, really generous free tier. It's kind of a pain to get it set up, but once you set it up, it's a very generous free tier. And so I have a VPS over there that's free, and then I have a VPS here in my house, and that's basically the two things I use at the moment. Indie Motor Fun. It's like Scratch. It has its many limitations. Scratch is very cool. Yeah, people build all kinds of crazy things on that website. My kids love going to that website. My youngest, I always find him playing with like soundboards that people have built with Scratch, which is pretty cool. Little Quan, what else do you code if it's like a hobby? Like a lot of stuff. So if you type here you go. Here's my GitHub if you're curious. But a lot of things like I built this website. This is kind of a cool website. This is actually hosted on Vercel, so it might time out. So this is like a GitHub Gist inspired website, but it's to a very specific flavor of JavaScript that's used in the software that the company I work for makes. So this is a pretty cool little website I made. It's basically kind of a GitHub Gist clone, I guess you could say. So that's something fun I built. I built a couple libraries. I have a couple libraries that I keep up and maintain that are either on NuGet or NPM that are pretty cool. I have one that's for the Anthropic API that I'm pretty proud of. So if you're a user of Anthropic's API and you like to write C#, I have this client SDK. It's got 1.4K downloads, which I think is pretty good. There's still things I need to add to it. There's features that I want to implement and add to it, but there's just only so much time in the day, you know? And Anthropic's API is constantly evolving. Constantly. I mean, they're always adding new features. Like, here you go. This thinking block, I don't think I have support for that. Interweaved thinking, yeah, I don't have beta. Files API, I don't have support for that. God, they launched a bunch of stuff today. Yeah, there's a ton. I actually need. Now I'm getting distracted, but yeah. But like, yeah, just random projects like this. I have lots of things, lots of hobby projects. I need to go read up on Anthropic's API. Pablo, nice front end. Yeah, I was happy with the way that turned out. It's a Next.js site that's hosted on Vercel. It uses GitHub auth. It uses what's that library? That JavaScript library? I think it used to be Next auth, and I think now it's auth.js. That's what the authentication is with. But yeah, that was a fun site to build. Pablo, do you mock the API for tests? For the Discord bot, is that what you're talking about? Yes, I do. Yeah, this is all mocked. For the Discord bot, it's all mocked. Which is why I'm calling them unit tests, not really integration tests. Pablo, oh really nice. Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I should say I did design it, but like it's largely inspired by. I mean, if you look at like if you go to gis.github.com, right? I mean, you can kind of see like a lot of the design, right, is very much inspired by this site, you know. I basically just took like the bare minimum of what I needed for people to be able to share snippets of their code. My favorite part of this website is actually the editor. The editor was the thing that took the most work for me to get set up and implemented. But yeah, I was really excited when I got it working. And there's a couple things that are unique. It's basically JavaScript, but there's two things, or I guess three things. Yeah, I'll say what I want to say. I want to say there's three things that are unique. So there's built-in functions in the version of JavaScript that people use for this particular site. So there's built-in functions like sum. So if you type sum, that's highlighted in green because that's a built-in function for the version of JavaScript, the flavor of JavaScript that people write for this piece of software. And then you can also use field tokens, which look like this. So they get treated or highlighted specially. And then there's also list tokens, and this syntax gets treated special. So yeah, so I wanted people to be able to write formulas or snippets in here and have a similar experience as what they have in the piece of software that actually uses this flavor of JavaScript. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to build that. The CodeMirror is the editor. If you're curious what library I use for that editor, it's CodeMirror. Inspired and copied are two different things. Yeah, true. But yeah, inspired for sure. Pablo Monaco. No, CodeMirror. I use CodeMirror for the editor. No, I did use CodeMirror. In CodeMirror I did use the JS syntax highlighting. But then I just kind of extended it to have some special tokens, or I guess what do you call it, grammar? No, I think it's more not necessarily grammar, but basically just special additional tokens and styling so that those tokens get styled in a particular way. The Anthropic library tests. So I have some tests that are mocked. the bulk of the tests that I run in CI/CD are mocked. So I have both unit integration and end-to-end for the Anthropic library. So the unit test mocks everything. The integration tests, they do everything but make actual HTTP requests to Anthropic's API. So that's the only part of the test that's mocked, is actually hitting the Anthropic API. And then for the integration tests, those are actual live, like these end-to-end tests actually hit the real Anthropic API. But I don't run these as part of my CI/CD flow. These only, well, actually, I think they do run as part of my CI/CD flow. Actually, now that I say that, let me look. Do I exclude them? Yeah, I don't exclude them. So yeah, so I run, but it's a smaller subset. Like there's not a ton of end-to-end tests. I don't know how many total I have, but there's not a lot of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I have 19 end-to-end tests, but I have a ton more integration and a ton more unit. Yeah, there's probably double the number of integration tests. Indie Motor Fun. The fun part about me, new 3D engine, is instead of single color triangle faces, I'm using a dot line rendering path, and then I'll use that to add textures, and hopefully it all works. That sounds intense and way over my head. but it sounds like you're having fun, so that's awesome. Rager, what are you doing? Rager, I have been mostly talking, but code-wise, I'm trying to write a set of unit tests for my Discord bot, and my day is going well. Pablo, I use GitHub in its darkest mode, so seeing that gray hurts. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things about GitHub is the ability to theme it, right? Like, I think that's one of the coolest parts of it. So I use the default. For a long time, I used the high contrast theme for the longest time on GitHub. And then recently I switched over to the dark dimmed because I don't know, I find that very pleasing. Yeah, I've wrote one test and I've chatted a ton. The Discord bot is done. Steven is a perfectionist and wants 100% test coverage. Yeah, I don't know if we'll get to 100% test coverage, but we definitely need more than what I have. Dark. I can't even pronounce that second word. So you use this one. Oh wow, it's 10 o'clock already. This one. That's not bad. Let me try. Let me take that one for a spin. How do I save this? Is it already saved? Okay, it's already saved. I could get used to that. What's the code look like? Okay, the YAML looks awful. But YAML always looks awful. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's pleasing. Yeah, totally could see that. Could totally see using that. Flubbery jubbery, why are you always on my feed? I have no idea. Am I a software engineer? Yeah, you could. Yeah, I'm a software engineer. My professional job is I work as a quality engineer. Yes, YAML looks awful with anything. There's no way to make YAML look good. It sucks. It sucks all around. Okay, so I don't really care so much about the WebSocket calling connect async. What I do care about those, I do care about that my WebSocket well, not underscore mock WebSocket. What I do care is that it sends I do care that it sends a couple events. So I need to say let's do X, and we'll say X dot send async, and we'll say times once. So it should send a heartbeat, and then it should send a identify event. Now, how I verify these things, I'm not 100% certain at the moment, but I'm going to figure that out. I've never written tests like this for WebSockets in .NET. This is all new to me, so I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of figuring out as I go. I basically just need to make sure that the send async is called with the right shape. It needs to have it basically whatever I would expect it to normally be called with if I was actually talking to the gateway API. I just need to verify that that's what it attempts to send. And so send async takes a buffer, which is the message content, the type of the message, and then the end of the message. So if we go over to my gateway client here, and we scroll down, the logic I care about right here. Also, I can remove this to do, because I've already done all that. So basically what I care about is that it starts the heartbeat and then it identifies. So when it starts the heartbeat, it should send heartbeat async, which then should call send JSON async. Yeah, so I need a heartbeat Discord event, and then I need to serialize that Discord event to a byte, to a buffer. Yeah, which is just an array of bytes. All right, so how do I do that in my tests? This is the question. Pablo, you can claim yourself as one proudly. Pablo, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Flubbery, I'm interviewing tomorrow. That's awesome. That's very exciting. I hope your interview goes well, dude. The only time us coders struggle with our code is when we try to explain how it works to other people. Yeah, that's... Well, you know, it's kind of a fair thing, though, because, like, a lot of the times, in order to explain it, you'd have to go through so many layers of, like, prerequisite knowledge and understanding that it would probably, to explain what you're trying to do, it would take, like, 30 minutes to an hour to, like, get them the full context. So I totally understand. What is a quality engineer? Like your QA? Yeah, QA. So I do manual and automated testing. Indie motor. Yeah, in tests, like what Paulo said, tests can be very helpful to almost enshrine the behavior of your code in code. Right? Like the key to writing good tests, though, is you don't necessarily want your tests to be very brittle, right? So you'd like to be able to have very resilient tests that allow you to change your code regularly, but not always break your test. I mean, sometimes you're going to break your test. You're going to have to refactor things. But you want to try to write the tests in such a way that you can still change your code without having to always change your tests. But obviously that requires you writing your code in such a way that you can do that, right? Which is difficult. It's a skill. Are you using Vim? I'm using Neovim. Legends of NGDB. The fuck is this language? This language, Legends, is C#. It's great. It's a great language. Pablo. C# test, yeah. Rohith, could you please share how you plan your software projects? I'd love to understand your process from idea to implementation. It varies, Rohith. So, it varies. So let me give some concrete examples. I worked on this, like, AI wrapper tool, not too long ago, and I actually need to come back to it because I haven't finished it. Give me the hand. So I had this idea for basically an app that takes an image, sends it over to one of the LLMs, whether it be Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT, and generates alt text for that image, right? So it's very much like a ChatGPT wrapper utility app. But for that app, I knew exactly what I wanted to build, and I knew what technologies I wanted to use, and I knew all the technologies I wanted to use already. Like, I knew the APIs, I knew it all. So in that case, I sat down and I kind of diagrammed out what it was I wanted to build. Like, I wanted an API, I wanted to host that API in a Docker container. I knew I wanted a console application so that could talk to the API. I also knew that I wanted a web application that could talk to that same API. And so with a project like that where there's mostly everything is known, I will usually sit down and kind of diagram out what I'm looking for, and then I'll just launch in from there. Like, that's pretty much as organized as it gets. In the case of something like my Discord bot, I had never worked with the Discord API before. I didn't know how to use the Discord API. Had no previous experience. So usually in cases like that, I start with something that's more exploratory. So like in this case, I actually started a project. It's on my GitHub. I called it the Discord Playground, is what I called it. But it basically was just a place for me to write code and explore the new piece of technology and kind of explore the problem space a little bit. So if we go to the Discord Playground, it's a very like messy like unstructured, not well implemented thing. But the whole point of it was just for me to kind of figure out like what would this kind of look like. It's kind of like a prototype, but probably even rougher than a prototype, just so that I can learn the API, I can understand how to work with it. And then from there, once I get like a good understanding or I feel confident in what I know or don't know, then I'll move into like an actual proper solution, like what I'm in right now, where I actually have like a semi well architected project that's set up with all the amenities that I like, and then I'll just start hacking on it, you know. And so for my personal projects, I don't spend a ton of time like writing a formal requirement specification or like filing a bunch of GitHub issues. It's just for a one-man band, it's just more work, more effort than it's worth. So yeah, Rohith, I hope that maybe was helpful. If you have more questions than that, I'd be happy to elaborate more. But that's kind of where I am, in kind of my personal, and then typically what I'll do is I'll try to see a project all the way to kind of what I would call like feature complete, in the sense that like the project does what I had envisioned it to do. And then at that point, it's totally up to me whether I continue to build on it, continue to iterate on it, or if it's just kind of a portfolio piece that's something I can point to and say, I built a Discord bot, or I built a website. That's kind of my approach at the moment. Indie Motor Fun. Every time I scroll chat, it sends me to the next YT Shorts live. Well, that sucks. Pablo, I take a lot of notes on my process, write some code, write some notes, and so on. If you keep all the code and all the notes, you can always backtrack your decisions. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't keep very many notes. Maybe I should do more of that. Yeah, for my personal side projects, I don't keep a ton of notes. I don't file a ton of issues. At least at the beginning. Like if I'm at the very beginning of a project trying to like figure it out, sort it out, like I just kind of build and hack. Now once I get it to like a stable place where like it's kind of like what I would call like the V0 or the V1. From there, I will typically then like write GitHub issues, and I'll kind of like I kind of like use GitHub issues as like a to-do list for projects. And then when I feel like revisiting a project, I'll go look at the issues that I logged and pick one out and work on it. The thing is, for me, like, this is all in my free time, right? Like, I have a day job. I just stream for fun, and I just build side projects for fun. So if the process isn't enjoyable, if it's not fun, if I'm not having a good time, right? So like, what's the point of doing it, right? If I just turn this into another job, that's no fun for anybody. Jirak Preet, how are you? I'm good, Jirak. How are you? Love that one screen. No one cares. Work harder. Yeah, that's it probably doesn't come across on my streams, but like internally, I'm a pretty intense person, and so that kind of that's just kind of how like. If you guys have ever seen I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. I've got some good motivational stuff in my bag here, but like this just kind of gives you a little insight into like the kind of person I am, like the kind of things that resonate with me. Like the one I gotta pause my music here so you can hear them. Oh, that's not my music. I need to do what Butterscotch told me to do. I need to get a hotkey for my music so I can easily pause and play it. This is one that gets me going. I've watched
So
it
here's
so
what
many
you should know
times.
about winning before you chase it. Winning's not loyal to you. It doesn't care about you. Winning doesn't care how sore you are. Winning doesn't care how much sleep you get. Winning doesn't care how hard you work at times. And sometimes a guy doesn't outwork you and he still wins. It isn't fair, man. Sometimes there is no justice. Winning requires all of you and then more, and it promises you nothing. It's a mastermind of creating fear and doubt in your mind. It causes setback after setback. So the question is about winning. Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? And why chase this thing called winning?
That
Because the only thing
that line he says, "Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown?" That line, every time I hear it, like I could get up and run through a brick wall. Like it just gets me so pumped. But that, like going back to that whole idea, like no one cares, work harder. That level of intensity, right? Like that, it doesn't come through. I think probably in streams that like inside, that's how I feel. But that is very much how I feel as an individual. There's another good one too. There's another good one by Nick Saban. This is another good one. Obviously, this is all football related because, well, I played a lot of football growing up, and this is another one I like to listen to.
Listing your vacation rentals on Booking.com.
Oh God, you don't have to listen to the ad. Also, if you don't want to listen to motivational things, feel free to scroll on.
These guys, these guys sort of don't, they all think they have this illusion of choice. Like I can do whatever I want to do. And we kind of have a younger generation now that doesn't always get told.
And granted, hear me out. Nick Saban's he's talking about the context of football players, but what he says, it's important like in life too, right?
No.
Like
they don't always get told this is exactly how you need to do it. So they have this illusion that they have all these choices. But the fact of the matter is if you want to be good, you really don't have a lot of choices because it takes what it takes. You have to do what you have to do to be successful. So you have to make the choices and decisions to have the discipline.
And like the part that I like there is it takes what it takes, right? Like you want to be a good programmer, you want to be a good coder. It takes what it takes, right? You want to be a good football player, it takes what it takes. There's no decisions, there's no negotiations. There's like, and that's the thing behind the whole idea of like no one cares, work harder. It's like, yeah, you probably have a lot of valid excuses in your life. And you probably have a lot of valid reasons for why things are difficult for you or why you can't accomplish X, Y, Z or why you can't get that job or yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, it takes what it takes, right? And no one cares. So work harder. That's the only way to respond. I know not everybody likes him, but one of my favorite influencers is Gary Vee. And Gary Vee talks about that a lot. Like he talks about like his thing is like, people will complain or people will make excuses or people will come up with like, yeah, but he said this or she did that or this happened to me or I didn't get this, and he always says like, and what, right? Like all that's true and all of it's valid. And what, right? Like, what are you going to do now? Like it's all true. Life's hard. People get unfair breaks. But you only have one response. Like it takes what it takes, So I don't know. That part of me, I don't think probably comes through a lot of times when I stream or I make programming or coding content. But like, I feel that attitude like so deep in my core that like, you want to be good at something, you just have to do what it takes. And I want to be good at writing, building software. And I feel like the only way you can get good at building software is you got to build a lot of it. Which is why you find me at 10:24 p.m. on a Thursday night trying to figure out how to write unit tests for a Discord bot. Pablo. I live like that by default. My girlfriend is learning. Oh, we are in a bad situation. Well, let's figure it out. Yeah, totally. No time for crying. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's like not. I don't want to ever invalidate someone's difficulties or make people feel like that their excuses or that their issues or their problems are not important, because they are. But at the same time, they don't change anything, right? It doesn't change what you need to do. To your point of like, let's figure it out, Pablo, it's like, regardless of how shitty the situation is or how unfortunate it is or how much bad luck has befallen you or the unfair breaks you've gotten in your life, it doesn't change. You still have to figure it out, right? Like you gotta, um, yeah. There's another there's another line. My wife probably gets tired of me when I say this, but like, I think about this a lot because I'm a dad and I'm a husband and I have people that are counting on me. But like there's this real reality in life where like nobody's coming to save you, right? Like nobody is yeah, nobody's coming to save you. Like your life is your life, and your life will be what you make it, and nobody's gonna come along and make sure you get that job interview or make sure that you learn how to program or that you learn how to code or that you do a good job, or like people have their own lives, they have their own goals, their own considerations. um, so you have to save you, you know, you have to do the work. Apologies for that 30-minute long life philosophy rant that I just went on. But yeah, that I haven't had too many people comment on my Neovim home screen, but that's why the Neovim dashboard text is nobody cares, work harder. Pablo. Uh yeah, I use okay, but who cares? Exactly. Yeah. Who cares? Like nobody cares. Now we all got to learn how to mock these AC. We got to figure this out. Yeah, we got to figure it out, man. I think it's actually more straightforward than I made it. I think actually what I can do is I can do I think I can do var heartbeat event. I think I can pass in null here. Actually, I can pass in hello event dot sequence is what I can pass in here. And then it's actually not it. It's not any. It's not any. It is any cancellation token, but it's true that it's the end of the message, and then it's going to be heartbeat event payload, and the payload is going to be an array segment where the byte array equals the payload bytes. I think actually what I want to do is I want to do heartbeat payload dot bytes. Yeah, I want to do sequence equals. I think. Yeah. And then the message type should be text. So let me just see if that works. Let me comment this one out. I also think I need to add a little bit of a delay to make sure that I give it time to actually send the heartbeat. Okay, let's test this. See what happens. Indie mode. My code has been open for 30 minutes. I haven't done a single thing. My code's been open for an hour and 50 minutes, and I haven't done much. So I know the feeling. I'm going to be surprised if this actually works. All right, I feel like we're hung. Well, that's not a good sign. Oh. Yes. I'm going to need a cancellation token here. I can't pass in cancellation none. That's not going to work. Right. I need to quit this. Discord gateway clients unit tests. There we go. So I'm going to need a cancellation source. Yeah, give me a new cancellation source. And then after I wait, oh, this needs to be disposed. Let's see, we do using. And then after we wait for a second here, we'll cancel it. All right, now let's see if we get. I don't think we're gonna get. I don't think it'll hang now. So let's see. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it was a timeout because I actually when the client connects, I start up 2 tasks in the background. And so I think I actually need to force the cancellation of those tasks so that everything exits and closes gracefully. I think. Although now it seems to be doing the same thing. It's almost like it's deadlocked. So I'm doing something wrong. That or there's a real issue in my code. All right, so something's wrong. Let's see, cyber dude. Yeah, you can get the code here. Let me find it for you. Yes, you can. There is XUnit has an output that you can log to, so you can for sure. Yeah, you can print information. Let's see if can. I'm gonna find this repo so that cyber dude can look at the code if he'd like to. Steve's bot. I think actually I think I'm gonna be live for about 5. This is the repo at cyber This is the repo. There you go. If you're interested, CyberDude. I'll probably be live for about 5 more minutes. It's almost 11, and I've been live for 2 hours. Yeah, you're welcome, CyberDude. Hopefully you find that helpful. Let me just try to run my tests as they stand right now. See what happens. Well, there we go. We're stuck in a loop, aren't we? uh, oh no, my mouse is gonna die. Okay, so it's connecting, and it starts us in the heartbeat. And these are basically all the calls that were made. And it never sends. Okay, so why does it never? Why does it? It only tries to connect. It just keeps trying to connect. Oh, I know why. Because I haven't set up my test properly. So if we go, actually, let's go to the gateway so that this will make a little more sense. And if I go to the actual implementation. So right here, I'm attempting to initiate a connection to the gateway, and I'm never actually giving it a response. So in this case, I actually need to respond. I actually need to set up a response to connect so that it moves on. Yeah. So I actually need to respond to this connection. I think that's the problem. Because we're just continually trying to reconnect. No, it's not so much that we're stuck in a loop. We're doing it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just I haven't set up the test properly. Okay. Oh, whoops, that's my unit test. That's a different class. Oh, godness. What the heck? There we go. I can't. It would help if I could learn how to navigate Neovim. Yeah. So this sets up the mock client, but I also need to set up. Whoops. I think what I need to do is I need to say, yeah, I need to do that. Now let's try to run the tests again. We'll do that in my other tab here. .NET test. Okay. So it is trying to connect. Oh, state. We also need to mock the return value of our state. So going back to our client here, if what's happening now is we're actually responding to the connect event properly, but now when we try to start our heartbeat, when we try to send our heartbeat, right, the first thing we do is we check to see if the connection is open. So if I go into the send heartbeat async method, and then I go into the send JSON async method, we check to see if the WebSocket is null. If the WebSocket's not null, then we check to make sure that the WebSocket state is open. If it's not open, then we throw an exception. So when we enter this method, we need to make sure that the WebSocket state says it's open. So yeah, we need to go back to our tests. We need to unit test this. We need to mock it. So we'll say mock WebSocket dot set up static x. You know what? I just realized it's so quiet, isn't it? It's so quiet because we stopped the music. Nathan, what's your favorite programming language? My favorite programming language is probably C#, but if I can only ever write one programming language again, it would be TypeScript. Cyberdude, what next live will you go? I usually go live once a day, and I'll probably go live again tomorrow night around the same time. Nathan, cursor is the way to go, sir. Then just say build me a Discord bot and you're done. Yeah, I don't think. Okay, Nathan, I think that it could build me a Discord bot, but it would probably use Discord.js. I don't think it could implement the connections, the state management of the connection. I don't think it could do that in C#. Because it's kind of complicated. Like I don't know how familiar you are with Discord's gateway API. But it's kind of a complicated piece of code you have to write to manage the connection. Like this, so this is kind of like a high level diagram of the connection, the stateful connection you have to maintain. So I don't know. I'd be skeptical if Cursor could implement this in C#. I'm guessing it could build me a Discord bot in with Discord.js. But I don't know if it could replicate. I don't know if it could get it right without a developer intervening. Like it could probably write out some code, right? Like you could give it this documentation, paste in this document, and it could probably write something. But I don't think it would be right. I think a developer would have to work through it. Pablo, TypeScript 100%. Yes. Definitely 100%. TypeScript, yeah. You drop the office hours? Well, I don't want to drop the office hours. I really don't want to stream at night either, but with my family all being out of school now and being home all summer long during the day, during the workday, I just think it's going to be tough to try to stream during the day. So I think I'm going to try moving streams to the evenings. I may do fewer of them. I may stream in the evenings like a few nights. I maybe not every day. I don't know. We're in a transition period now that summer starts, so we'll see what I end up with from a stream schedule. What time tomorrow? So I'm in Central Standard Time, and my kids go to bed at 8 p.m. So it would probably be somewhere, I would probably start streaming somewhere between 8 p.m. Central Standard and 9 p.m. Central Standard. and what Pablo said. If you join our Discord, I always try to post in the Discord. So if you join Discord, I will always try to give you a heads up when I go live. Sometimes I fail to remember to do that, which is my fault. And when I do fail to do that, you can yell at me. All right, let's give this. I actually don't need to wait. I think 1,000 milliseconds either. Probably 100 milliseconds will do. Okay, so one of them's passing now, but one of them's failing. Let's see, WebSocket is already open, cannot connect. That's a whole new error. Oh. Okay. So I need to set this up as a sequence. The first time we try to connect, it needs to be closed. Then the second time, it needs to be open. This is the part that I'm not sure. This is the part I'm not sure I like, though, about my testing approach here, because I'm basically depending that the Discord client that I've written checks the WebSocket state in a very specific order. And so it's very highly likely that if I ever refactor the logic in that Discord gateway client, it's going to bust my tests. And I'm not sure how I feel about that at the moment. I don't feel good about it. Yeah, see, because I call this connect with URI method, and I check in here if it's open, and if it's open, I throw. So yeah, I'm not in love with this. But right now at this moment, I don't have any better ideas about how to do it. Okay, let's give this another try. Okay, we're back. We're back to failing. Although I don't know why 2 tests are failing. I'm getting uncomfortable in my chair though, so I think I'm reaching the end of my session here. So I'm never calling send async though. You can see from all those invocations, I'm never calling send async. Also, I'm pretty sure this test fails when it passes when it runs by itself. Like, I think this test passes when it runs all by itself. So you move the painting to the other wall now? No, it's still there. It's still back there. Oh, maybe my camera was mirrored at some point. That's possible. It's possible my camera was mirrored at some point. Yeah, so that passes when it runs by itself, but it fails. Huh. I think I need to debug this, but I think I need to debug it on a much wider monitor. Skittles, as a 14-year-old, should I learn to code, and what is the first should I learn? Yeah, I don't think there's necessarily a right way, Skittles. I always point people to Free Code Camp. Is where I always point everybody to. If you're interested in learning to code, I always say start here. Nightbot will send you to their website. But I always tell people start with Free Code Camp. They'll basically teach you how to do web development. So you'll basically learn JavaScript. Once you know JavaScript, you can pretty much build whatever you want in the context of, like, you can build a website, you can build things that run on the server, right? Like, pretty much free to experiment and explore from there. And then once you learn one programming language, it's much easier to learn any other programming languages. Like, a lot of the concepts are transferable. So, but yeah, if in terms of, like, should you learn to code? I think you should. Like, I think learning to code is valuable it's valuable as a skill, but it's also valuable in terms of, like, just how it helps you learn to think, like to dissect a problem, break it down into smaller problems. Yeah, I think I think it makes you a better thinker, better problem solver. You'll never hear me tell somebody, hey, no, you should learn to code, unless you don't want to learn how to code. If you don't want to learn how to code, that's fine. But if you think you're interested in it, I think you should try it. You just might find you love it, which is what I found out. I love it, you know? It's become a huge part of my life. Cyberdude, true. My first was C++, made it easier to learn C, C#, Python, and Rust. Yeah, so I don't think you can go wrong, like, picking any language. I just always tell people, like, Free Code Camp's great because their curriculum's free, it's structured, they have a wonderful community around it, they've got a Discord server that's very active, they have a community forum that's very active. Yeah, so if you decide to go another route, if you decide to learn Python first, or do what Cyberdude did, decide to learn a lower level language, you know, like C++ first, you know, maybe a little bit more little bit steeper learning curve, but you can't go wrong. We are just building puzzles of infinite size. That's true. Yeah, problem solving is the meta skill. I mean, problem solving is the meta skill of just life in general, right? You want to make a lot of money, solve difficult problems, right? Like, that's just people. That's how you add value, whether it's to your employer or to your customers or your clients. Like, you solve their problems, and they'll do well in life. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gassed, man. I need to take a break. I'm just gonna put a to-do here that says, this does not work. You need to figure it out. I'm also gonna say when this runs concurrently with test above, that test starts to fail. I'm not 100% sure why that's happening, because my mocks, the constructor should run before every test, so all my mocks should get reset every time we run a new test. So I'm not 100% certain. I need to really debug it is what I need to do. I need to run my tests and step through the code. But doing that on a tiny little screen like this it's not gonna happen. And I'm gassed. I'm done. I need to take a break. So. What's the hardest programming language in my opinion? Of all the ones I've tried, Rust was the most difficult. I haven't written a ton though. Like I've written some Go, I've written a lot of C#, a lot of TypeScript, a lot of JavaScript. I've written a moderate amount of Python, but Rust was the most difficult one I've tried. And I think that was largely when you start having to deal with like the borrow checker. It's just a completely different way of thinking about, like, it adds a layer of complexity. Not complexity. It adds an additional amount of mental load to when you're writing code, right? I imagine it's the same type of mental load that you have when you're writing like C, and you're having to think about allocating memory and cleaning memory up. But in this case, it's more about ownership and, you know, who owns what and when do they own it, and what belongs to what and when does it belong to who. So that and I would still like to learn it, but yeah, by far that to me was the most challenging one to pick up on. Athif Mahir, my first language was C#, and afterwards JavaScript, TypeScript, Dart, and etc. Yeah, so C# was my first as well. That's the first language I had exposure to. Then went really deep down the JavaScript rabbit hole. Then went down the C# rabbit hole deeper. Then came back and learned TypeScript. And I always say if you're somebody who loves TypeScript, you'll love C#. In my opinion, I think vice versa. I think if you like TypeScript, you're gonna love C#. If you like C#, you're gonna love TypeScript. In my opinion, I don't see why you wouldn't. They're just so similar. Pablo, I think Rust pushes you to think about things you don't usually think about, but should be thinking about. Yeah, I mean, like in the C# language, there's just so many safety nets built in, right? Like, as far as like memory allocations and performance things, like you get away with a lot because a lot of smart people have put a lot of work into making it difficult to write slow, bad code. But you're right. Yeah, Rust is probably forcing you to do a lot of the things that you would do in a lower level language. But yeah, you're not used to it. If you're not used to dealing with a language that doesn't have a garbage collector, it definitely adds a mental load to the code that you're writing, which is not necessarily bad. It just is, right? It's just something to know. All right, guys, I'm really gonna go this time, so I'll be back tomorrow though, hopefully. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah, tomorrow's the first day of the kids' summer, so we'll see. But if I do stream, it will probably be shortly after 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you're not in our Discord, you should join our Discord so you know when I stream. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. All right, y'all. Night, Pablo. Night, Flix. Night, Thief, I think is how you say it. Thief. Good night, Cyber Dude. Night, Skittles. All right, guys. Bye. Bye.